All right, good morning, everyone. I am recording. Welcome to day 47 of the Rankin Technical College online AWD 1100 C# programming class for the summer 2023 semester. Today, as mentioned, is day 47 of 52. So after today, there is Thursday, and then next weekend we're finished. All right. Today, as it says, I plan on talking about the final project that you should be working on. I'm going to show you what I've done so far. It's partially done, partially not done. I'll talk about what I have to do yet in it. I'll run it for you. Doesn't totally work yet. I'm not worried about it. But as it says, I will show you what I've done so far in my version of the project, and I'll show you what I still have to do. All right, as a reminder, as it says there, 1 week from tonight by midnight, the 16th, 1 week from tonight, 3 things are actually due. Any and all late or missing work, your final project, your electronic portfolio. All right. Tomorrow, I'm going to continue going over the final project, and I'm going to create a fairly small link demo program, and I'll save that out as a GitHub repo. And then I'll talk about how you're going to want to probably at least try to bring link into your final project. And finally, as it says there, the plan for next week is to be lab all week. I'll be on every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. All right. I'll be getting ready for classes next semester. I will be finishing up in here. I will be grading. I will be, available if anybody needs assistance with anything. jpscott@rankin.edu. And again, it's if necessary, I can even set up a Teams meeting with you one-on-one. So as it says there under the please remember, first, look at your current grades in InsideRankin.org. All right. If you look at that, you should be able to find out any work that either you did not turn in, so you've got a 0 on it, or if you've turned it in and I'm not aware that you turned it in, okay, etc. So as it says, if you have any ungraded work, please email me right away and say, hey, I did the lab assignment for chapters 17 and 18, and you gave me a 0 on it. I'll go back and look. All right. And readjust your grade accordingly. All right. Again, I said this earlier, but I'm saying it again to you right now. And that is this. If you have any missing or late work, I will accept it through midnight next Wednesday. And of course, I have to make a mistake. So that's the 16th. But after that, anything that you're still missing is going to be put into Inside Rankin as a 0, a non-revocable, 0 or whatever you want to call it. And then again, your final project and your e-portfolio, I made them both due a week from tonight by midnight. Again, any questions, email me at jpscott@rankin.edu as soon as possible. All right, so with that said, let's go in and let's take a look at the test. Okay, so let's literally take about 10 minutes. Don't worry about the points right now. I want to talk about everything that's in here. Okay, so first, create a C# bookstore application that stores books for a minimum of 3 authors. I chose 3. I chose 3 famous authors. You'll see them in a moment. This data must be stored in a All right, sorry, my internet's acting a little quirky here. So one author should have less than 5 books. So I've got 4 for that author. One author should have between 5 and 10 books, so I have 8 for that author. And one author should have greater than 10 books. I have 15 for that author. Now, I don't want you to use the authors that I'm using. I don't want your program to be a clone of mine. I want it to look and be a representation of you. All right? Use real book information that can be found online. That's what I did. All right. The author drop-down list should allow for filtering by author, all right, using a where condition. All right, it should be programmatically populated when the form loads. Okay, and I didn't do it using the select and unique, but we'll look at what I did in just a second. All right, on the search form, as it says, when the user clicks the search button, a link search should be performed. All right, so if either you come in and you enter an ISBN, all right, in fact, the way that I did it on the search form, I'll have to go back and look at mine, but right now I'm just doing it with an ISBN. I didn't do it with a book name. It won't take much to change it. On the search form itself, after the search button is clicked, the correct result should be returned and displayed below the search controls. So in other words, if I put in an ISBN for a book exists, then down below, the result should be shown with the ISBN for that book, the title for that book, the author for that book, the year that book was published. As it says, if more than 5 results were returned, and since one of my authors, I have 8 books, and another author, I have 15 books, we should implement nation. All right, they do show you how to do that in the book, and I'll have some more to say about that a little bit later. All right, when the details button is clicked for a book on the search form, a book details form should be displayed. That details form should display the book's name, year, ISBN, author. There should be an image, and there should have some existing reviews for that book. All right. Now we get to where most of the points are. I mentioned this the other day. Let's change this. So this is due by midnight, Wednesday, 8/16. Okay. So that's the first thing. All right. And as we take a look in here, so 15, 15, 15, 15, and 15, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 75 points right there, and 35. So this is 110 of your 200 points. So in other words, that's 55%. So the user should be able to add new reviews to a book. All right. The application must implement the book class that we'll go over in just a moment. The application must implement a review class that we'll go over in a moment. The application must implement a search form class as given in the UML diagram. And I don't even know if there's a search form class in there. We'll look in a minute. And the details form is given in the UML diagram. All right, and then the last thing that's in there that's worth 35 points, and I don't remember what that even stood for, so I'm just going to get rid of it. All right, but the program should have a splash screen, and it should have a menu setup and a button setup. All right, as it says, the app should have a professional look and feel to it. All right, it should have a help screen of your own design added as well. Each form should have a title on it. The accept button should be set. The cancel button should be set. The start position should be set. All that stuff. All right. Now, mine isn't done. So did I break any of those rules? You know what? Probably. but I'm going to show you quickly. Let me do this. Let me bring it up and let me run it to show you what mine currently looks like. All right. So, in fact, let me stop it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to close everything that I've got open here. Just leave this blank and run it so you can see everything. All right, so I chose Mark Twain, and with Mark Twain, I used 4 of his books. All right, it was J.K. Rowling, and I chose her 8 Harry Potter books. And for Dr. Seuss, I chose 15 books. Now, I've implemented this as having 4 different forms. This is the splash screen. So right now I notice that it just says form 1, so I'll have to change that. All right. Also, we've never talked about this. I don't know if your book brought it up or not. These are just labels. All right. But there is a hyperlink tag that you can use. And I might go back and change these to a hyperlink tag where I might go to the Wikipedia page for Mark Twain if you click that, the Wikipedia page for J.K. Rowling if you click that, and the Wikipedia page for Dr. Seuss if you click that. Right now, these don't do anything. All right, these are just set up as picture boxes. All right, so that's the first page that I've got in here. Secondly, I have a help screen in here. What I did was I basically took everything that was in here. I stripped out where it said like 4 points, 4 points. I stripped out the pictures that we'll go over in just a moment. All right, and I just left the text. I fudged around and played around with the size of the text, but this is my help screen. So you can read it and you'll be able to tell whether or not, we made or basically have met our requirements, because that's what this help screen is it's a listing of the requirements. All right. I also have a link on here to the main page. That's my main page where I can either put in an ISBN and search, or I can put in an author and search. This is the data grid view. So if I put in an author, it's going to have the author's books in here. If I put in an ISBN, it should have just the one record in here. And when I click search, you'll notice there's nothing in there, and that's fine. But I'll just put some garbage in here right now because this hasn't been totally implemented yet. When I search, it says, now what I want to do is I want to put in a link query to see if that ISBN is in the database. For right now, I just go over to here. So let's suppose I put in a valid ISBN. Then this over here, this is going to show a picture of the book. This is going to show the title of the book, the year the book was published, the ISBN for the book, the author for the book. This is going to allow me, and now that I look at this, I want to move that up, but that's okay. This is going to allow me to write my own review for the book. So if I write a review here and I click submit, that should be added to the list of reviews that are right here. All right. And that pretty much is everything. Now I'm going to go back because I want to show you. So I can go from splash screen to main page, from splash screen to help, from splash screen to exit. Talk about the exit in just a bit. Okay. I can also go from the menu here. So I can go to the main page. I can go to the help. And I can go to the exit. So you'll notice these work 2 different ways. I can either use, all right, I can either use any of the 3 buttons, or I can use any of the 3 menu options. So main page help and exit, main page help and exit. And even though it doesn't show it when you run the program, notice if I do an Alt and I hold down on the X, this comes up. I also put in the alt tag in front of these things. All right, I guess you can see them, like at least when I do this. All right. Yeah, I guess you can see them. So if I do an Alt M, I go to the main page. If I do an Alt, what is it? S, I go back to the splash screen, etc. So you can see there's 3 ways that I can move around in here. All right, I can move around using, okay, again, I can move around using buttons. I can move around using menu options. I can move around using the access key. So ampersand M to go here, ampersand H to go here, ampersand X to go here. All right. So that's the first thing. Okay, next. So let's go to the main page. I mean, the help I've already mentioned. There's not really much more to say about this. Again, from help, I can go to splash screen. From help, I can go to the main page. From help, I can go to exit. From help, I can go to the splash screen. From help, I can go to the main page. And from help, I can go to exit. So you can see, again, all of these are linked. And again, I can go back and do an Alt S to go back to the splash screen. I can do an Alt M to go to the main page. Do an Alt X to exit the program if I so desire. So you can see, again, those are all linked. All right. Then going back to the main page here. Okay, again, this is the way I implemented it. So what do we have here? Well, first let's go back. I mean, again, this is one label. This is one label. Picture box, picture box, picture box. For now, this is label, 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 but I may end up changing that. So these are hyperlink tags. All right. Button, button, button. I don't think there's any surprise there. And on here, this is just a big label. Button, button, button. And then again, our menu options. All right. On the main page here, I have a label, a button inside of a group box. It's just the way I decided to implement it. So label, label, button, text box, combo box. And you'll notice with the combo box, it has the names of my authors in it. Now, I didn't populate this using a select or using a link query. I'll show you how I populated it in just a bit. All right. Then I've got a data grid view here, and I've got the word page, and this should implement paging eventually. But if there is no paging, if either I'm only showing a single record because I put it in ISBN, or I choose Mark Twain, who does not, only has 4 records, this page, this label should be disabled. In fact, it should be made invisible. It should only be made visible if I choose J.K. Rowling with 8, so 8 books, so we'll have pagination, and Dr. Seuss with books, so we'll have pagination. All right. And when it comes up, it just says select an author. Now you'll notice right now I do have some of the stuff in here implemented, such as if I come in and I try to click search right here, I have not chosen an ISBN. I have not chosen an author. So when I click this, it comes up with an associated text box that says, please make a selection for the title. And the text says you must enter an ISBN in the associated text box or choose an author name from the combo box. All right. So if I do that, let's say I do them both. So I come in here and I do this and I do this. I handle that as though it's an error condition because we don't know what to search for. So if you bring that up, you get a different combo box. It says, please make only a single selection. And it says you cannot both enter an ISBN in the associated text box and choose an author name from the combo box. So after you click OK, it clears this out and it clears this out. I didn't set the focus anywhere because I don't know what you want to do. All right. So remember, this is a combo box. So here the selected index is 0. Here it's 1, here it's 2, here it's 3. So in other words, if I go in and I plan on searching by author, the selected index must be greater than 0. Because if it's 0, it's right here. If there's nothing showing, it's set to -1. All right, there's probably even a way to make sure that that doesn't happen. But I don't know if there's a read-only property with this or not. All right. In here, I'm going to have to make sure that I've got it set up. I mean, if I put in hello right there, again, this hasn't been implemented yet, but if I put in hello right there, that wouldn't be a valid ISBN. All right. And ISBNs, I'm going to ask that they be put in a certain format. All right. I might even put something here, some text that, that says example type of thing. Those of you who took the AWD1000 class already, you know what I'm talking about. When basically we put some text in there, some help text or whatever you want to call it. All right. And again, if it's a single record, it should appear right here. If it's an author and I choose Mark Twain and don't have anything here, then I should get 4 books in here. If I do it with J.K. Rowling, I should get 8 books. And if I do it with Dr. Seuss, I should get 15 books in here. And both with J.K. Rowling and with Dr. Seuss, I should have implemented here pagination. All right. Now, in your book, so let me go back to the book. I could be wrong here, but I believe if I come in here and I perform a search for pagination, I don't know if it's going to automatically, no results found. Okay, well, then let's do this because I know it's in the last chapter on data grid view. All right, so let's go down to here and let's see if pagination is mentioned here. And all pagination is it's saying we're only putting a certain number of records on each page. All right, the code, how to provide paging. There we go. So it looks like it's page 732. I'm going to use this, to be honest with you, I'm going to use this basically as probably a template for whatever I do here. There's pagination, and there's different ways that you can do it. Our pagination is simple. We're either going to have 3 pages if it's Dr. Seuss, 2 pages if it's J.K. Rowling, and only 1 page if it's Mark Twain. All right, but they do show in here, I know that it's in here someplace, that the author shows the code, as it says, that implements pagination. Now, of course, you're going to have to change this so that it basically reflects whatever it is we want to do, okay? The names will be different, etc. But the idea that's in here should be the same as far as I know. All right, so I'm going to take a look at that. Will I have that done by tomorrow? I have no idea. All right. We had you already heard this, but we had a meeting yesterday for 3 hours. And when I got done with the meeting, I came home and wrote what you're looking at right now on as far as my program goes. So I'll work on it some more tonight. All right. Okay. Now let's see if there's anything else. Let me stop this. Now, for the splash screen right here, okay, the only code that's in here is if I click this button or that menu item, I want to go to the main page. If I click this button or that menu item, I want to go to the help page. If I click this button or that menu item, I want to let the user exit the program. So when you look at the code, go to main page if I'm on either the button or the menu item, and go to main page. We've done this before, this.hide. All right, instantiate a new main page in this case and show it. For the help, go to help, this.hide, instantiate a new help page. In fact, I think I'm going to call this help page instead of help form. I'm just trying to be consistent. All right. And then for the exit, I did something a little bit different here. Now you might look at that and go, yeah, what is that? You know, where's the code? Where's the exit program or not? Well, what I did, and this is another reason that people oftentimes use classes. I created a utility library that right now, really, I shouldn't have called it utilities. I might end up changing that. All right. It really would have a better name would have been Final Project Library. So let's see if I can rename that. Final Project Library. Okay. And in there, what do I have? Let me close this so you can move that up so you can see it. I've got my dependencies, which is just system stuff. I've got my book class, which we'll look over in a second. I've got my review class that I'll go over in a second. I've got this validator class. I just brought that in case I have to use it. And I've got this utilities class. And look what it has in there. Our good old exit program or not. Why did I do that? I've got 4 different forms. I have 4 different forms in my program. All right. Each form has both an exit button on it and an exit option in the menu. So rather than writing that 4 times, once in each form, which I could have done, I wrote it once in here. So in this public utilities class, I made my exit program or not. Now, what's important here is public and static. Otherwise, it won't be recognized. So all I had to do then was to come back here and preface that with the name of the class, utilities dot exit program or not, utilities dot exit program or not. So I've shown you, what I'm showing you here is everything I've done so far. All right, so that's my screen. So what was next? The help screen, which again is pretty doggone simple. Again, here are my buttons and here are my menu options. And if I come in there, all I did in here was I created a string called help str, help string. And in load, I called build the string where I created, and then I set the label equal to that. And in the build to help string, again, several lines long, but this is just what's in here. All right. In there is just the requirements. This is how I implemented it. Do you have to implement it that way? The answer is no. I'd rather have you come up with your own original way of doing things. But again, this is how I did it. So this is called to build that string. Then we set the label equal to that help string. In addition, in here, again, we've got button for showing the splash screen, menu option for showing the splash screen. They're both calling show splash screen. This dot hide, create a splash screen and up. Same kind of thing with the main page. And again, our utilities for exit. So you can see what I've done in here. Again, I am at least attempting to come in here and be very transparent with all of you. All right, trying to show you what I have done. All right. So next is the main page. This was the one that needs some work yet. In fact, the last two need work. I don't have everything written yet. I'm not lying. I'd be lying if I said I had. But if we look in here, all right, we were told to implement this stuff that's right here. This stuff I put in here, this stuff, and that was based off of our requirements, which said in our search form, we should add this stuff. In our details form, we should add this. And I'm going to show you in just a minute the book class and the review class. All right. Now, I have not attempted yet to do a code first, which is what this is, and actually implement and create my database with my records in there. All right. I still got work to do. But if we look in here again, sometimes when you have these local variables that are dealing with classes, you preface them with an underscore. That's what Mr. Smith did here. He made them all private. So that's what I did. So these things that are right, let me move this over, right here are private list, books, private list string of authors, private list book of search results, and private int for page number. Yes, they're not in the same order because these first three are all lists. So I put them together. All right. Now we were told, and you can do this or not do this. All right. What I did here was I created an array, a string array with the three authors in there. So Mark Twain, J.K. Rowling, and Dr. Seuss. And the top option which was select an author. All right. You can do it, but with a link query, or you can do it like this. Here's all of our go to different screens. So go to the splash screen, etc. All that good stuff. All right. And our exit, etc. All right. So this is, we'll go over that in a minute. Go over that in a second. This is where we're filling up the combo box. So this is in the load event. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this. I'm just going to move it up to the top. You don't have to do that, but it's just the way that I like to code. So I'm going to come back up to the top, and as my new top thing under initialize component, all right, I'm going to put in that. And what is this doing? Well, this is in the form load event, and I called it fill with a, should I could spell better, fill author name combo box. All right, I made sure it was cleared. Then I said for each string AN, which stands for author name, in author names, which is my string array. So for each name that's in there, add it to the combo box. And then set the selected index to 0, should be anyway, but I just put it at 0, so it should, we're always should be starting then with it saying, please select an author. All right, again, then we've got our splash screen, we've got our help screen, we've got our exit stuff. All right. So like I said, I'm going to end up moving some of this, but notice this go to search page. All right. So this go to search page, and we bring this up, is when you click here. So I have to check first to see if both of these are empty, I haven't entered any search criteria. So I give an error message. If both of these have got values in there, I give a message because I don't know which one to pick. All right. And then finally, if this has got something in it, but that's set to 0, in other words, please select an author, or if that's empty and this is greater than 0, meaning it's a 1. So I selected Mark Twain. It's a 2, meaning I selected J.K. Rowling, or it's a 3, meaning I selected Dr. Seuss. Then everything is cool. All right, so I want only one of those to be filled up. All right, and if one is, and I click search, I should run the link query and get the results right here. The way that I'm planning on implementing this, and we'll see if it works or not. All right. But I'm planning on running the query. Okay. And probably setting this to disabled until I've got either this with something in there and that empty, or this empty and that's something in there. But if I run this and I put in, let's say that I try to run this and I put in a bad ISBN, I don't want to search. If this comes up with nothing, all right, then I just want to come up with an error message. And I've written a show message routine for this that says there is no book by that author and stay here. I only want this search button that's here to be enabled if either I put in a valid ISBN there. When I say valid ISBN, I mean one that's associated with one of my books in my library of 27, well, 15, 8, 23, 27 books. All right. Or one of the authors that's here. Hopefully what I just said made sense. Now I set this up too, and I've done this a little bit. So if you look here, all right, what do I have? Well, I've got an images folder and I've got two subfolders in there. All right. And this is not complete yet. Okay. So what do I mean? Well, if you look here, there's my picture of Dr. Seuss. There's my picture of J.K. Rowling. And there's my picture of Mark Twain. Okay. All right. Probably made sense. Then notice I've also got a folder called books. And I'll just go through one of these, but it would be stupid to go through all 27 right now. But I've got a folder under books called Dr. Seuss books, a folder under books called J.K. Rowling books, and a folder under books called Mark Twain books. So let's just grab the J.K. Rowling, and you'll notice I've got the 8 Harry Potter titles. So when I click there they are. All right. One thing you're going to want to do is either go in and manually make all your images the same size. And with me, with 27 of these, I don't want to do that. That's dumb, for lack of better words. But when I come into my last screen, my details screen, and I thought I renamed this, but I guess I didn't. That's okay. But when I come in here, I want to make sure that that picture box, all right, I want to make sure that that picture box is set. And what I mean by that is I want the size of it, it should be set. So when I come in here and I say, not size, when I say image, location, what is it? Size mode. I'm going to set that, and I'm going to set it to, I think it's going to be either stretch image or auto size, probably auto size. That way, when the picture comes in, it'll adjust itself accordingly based on the size of the box. All right. So like I said, there's still work to do in here. And when you look, what am I doing? Well, look in here. Notice this is my go to search page. And really, I should have probably pulled this out. And maybe I'll even do that now. I don't know. I could have called here, verify that this is not, that both are not empty. Okay. And then I could write another one to check if they're both full, because remember, those are both error conditions. If I have nothing in the ISBN search box and I have no author selected, I come in and I give a show message that says you must enter an ISBN in the associated text box or choose an author name from the combo box. All right, and then please make a selection. All right, if they're both chosen, all right, so if it's not empty and the selected index is either a 1 or 2 or 3, you can't do both. So again, you cannot both enter an ISBN and choose an author name, and it's got an appropriate message. Now, in that case, there is something in here, so I clear it out. I set my selected index back to 0, and I return. Otherwise, there's nothing, everything's just empty, so I just return. All right. Otherwise, as it says here, if the trim or if the ISBN is not empty, but the combo box is, then I'm going to call validate inputted ISBN. All right. And what that's going to do is it's going to run a query. I haven't written it yet. I just put a message box in there and I started to write it, but I've had some issues with it. So it says link query here to see if ISBN is in the database. All right. So if that returns true, all right, if that returns true from this, well, I'm just going to jump down and it'll go down to here. So if keep going is true, then I want to hide the current form and show the other form. Now, again, this is going to take some tweaking. This is just the way I'm writing it now. I've also got a routine that says if the ISBN is empty and the combo box is greater than chosen one of our 3 authors. Now I've got here validate inputted author. I don't even think I thought about this. I'm probably not going to have to do anything with that. All right, because it's one of my authors. But start to think about what I'm going to have to do on here. So when I run this, so let's say I run the program. Let's just pretend it works. It doesn't totally work. I get that. But I go to my main page. I select an author. I put in Mark Twain. All right, which is fine. Now I've got here the 4 books from Mark Twain, and I click search. Now I'm going to click it in a minute, but think about what I want to do. I have to make sure I have a way to take that author information and pass it to the other form and all the other information. So what comes up in here? Author first name, author last name, the year that the book was written, etc. All that stuff we were told to do. All right. And like I said, my hope is by me taking a little bit of time and going over this, it's going to make some sense to you as far as, like I said, what it is you're supposed to be doing in here. All right. Now I might be done by 9 o'clock, and that means that's the only lecture that you're going to get today. Tomorrow, I'm going to write a link program for you that I'm working on. I was going to do it today, but it's got some errors in it. So rather than watching me flounder and try to fix it, I'll fix it myself this morning or this afternoon and present that for you tomorrow. That link program that I'm going to present to you tomorrow, right? That link program, all right, I am going to put that out there on a GitHub repo. All right. But again, I'm going to have to make sure I take all the information that's in there. And when I click search, all right, now it says link query here to see if, whatever. But when I come here, then let's say that I chose Mark Twain, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. Then that book's picture should appear here. This should say The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, the year that it was created, the ISBN for the book by Mark Twain. All right. And I have to come in here and write a few reviews. I'm going to write 1 or 2 for each one of the books, and then give the user the opportunity to write his or her own review, click submit, and then have that go into our list of reviews. Now, like I said, my hope is that going over all of this, that what you are supposed to be doing here makes some sense to you. All right. This is by far, in my humble opinion, this is by far the hardest thing that you've had to do this semester. All right. That's why it's worth the most points. Okay. Plus, you may or may not have noticed, I changed around the look and feel. So the way that I've got this details page looking, as opposed to the way the details page looks in the text, they're a little bit different. All right. And this should say book details, I guess. So I don't forget to do it later. Let's come into here and let's set the text, book details. And there that is. Okay. All right. Finally, let's take a look at the classes that are in here. All right. So basically, like I said, I'm showing you everything I'm doing here. All right. And tomorrow I'm going to show you how to write the link queries that you're going to basically need in here. And it's up to you to put this stuff together and make it work. Am I going to show you 100% of everything you're supposed to do for this program? No. Not to be funny. I'm not that nice a person. Plus, if we do that, it becomes more of you watching these tapes and copying stuff. And I don't want that. All right. Okay, so let's take a look at the classes. So the first one I've got here is this book class. All right. So let's look in here and let's see. Let me bring this up. And here's the book class right here. So let me take a picture of it. I don't think I have one. Nope. All right, so there is our book class. According to this right here, what you see on your screen, all right, the book class has 6 different fields in it. An ISBN, an author name, and a book name. All of those are type string. A publish year, which is an integer. A reviews, which is a list of reviews, and an image, which I made a string. In addition, all right, there is a constructor, which is just a simple no-arg constructor. So if we look at that, let me bring this down. Let me do this. I'm going to move this like this. All right, and then I'll bring this back in here and move it over. I'll make it smaller and move it over. All right. So there's a class called book. You can see it has an ISBN in it rather. That's of type string. It has an author name in it of type string. It has a book name in it of type string. It has a publish year of type integer. It's got a field called reviews, which are going to be a list of type review, which we'll look at in a moment. And again, I made the images strings. It's going to be the URL. So when I'm setting up the actual image, I'm not sure if this is going to work or not, but I think it is. So if I go down to books here and I want to go to this book from Harry Potter, I'm going to right mouse click and I'm going to choose copy full path. So in other words, the link to that is going to be something that looks like this. And I know that's big. Everything that's in there, okay, like that. All right, so those, and here's my NOAR constructor. Again, I don't know if ISBN, author name, book name, publisher, if I need to actually come in there and write, and write actual comments for that. I'm hoping at least it makes sense. And again, this is our no arg constructor. All right, so let me do a file save. I just put in that comment. And the next one is review class. That's even simpler. All right. And if we look in our book, I shouldn't say in our book, but if we look here in our requirements, this is all that's there for the review. You'll notice that it is of type. So review inherits from book, the way that this is set up. So I'll show you that in a moment, but let me again come in here. Let me grab that one. Oops. Want that either. So there that is. I want to make this nice and small, get rid of that. There we go. So here's our review class. All right. We were supposed to have a single field in it of type string called review text. So there it is with my get set. It showed it as having not an OR constructor, but I guess a full ARC constructor. So public review string text. All right, and I'll have to do some stuff in here, or potentially do some stuff in there. And here I'm overriding the toString method. Right now, I'm not doing anything in it. I have to figure out what I want to put in there. So that's the review class. All right. In addition, as I told you, I created this utilities class. You don't have to do that. You can, where I made a static void method. And that static void method is our old exit program or not. And by doing this, I'm able to write it once and call it from 4 different forms. All right, which is what I wanted to do. Finally, again, I've got that validator class in there. All right. Now, my guess is one or more of you are going to struggle with this assignment. You may or may not complete it. All right. But a lot of the way that you're going to be graded on this is going to be, did you meet the requirements? Does it look professional? Is it your own project, etc.? That kind of thing. Now, we will be doing a book thing next semester. It won't be exactly like this. But those of you who will be in the AWD1100 database-driven web development 2 class will probably be doing something again with books. I don't know. We'll see. All right. So what I have tried to do during this hour, and it's been just about an hour, is I came through here and I showed you, all right, my author that had less than 5 books, that was Mark Twain. My author between 5 and 10 books, that was J.K. Rowling. My author with greater than 10 books, which was Dr. Seuss. I did use real book information. It's not complete yet. I'm going to say that again. But if you look on my page here, what you'll notice is I went out to a website and I asked for the complete works of Dr. Seuss. This is not all of them. All right. Most of these are books I'd already heard of. So I now have the title and I have the year. I don't have the ISBNs in yet. I'm going to have to go back and find all those. And this is what I save them as. All right, because I didn't want there to be any blank spaces. I did that for Dr. Seuss. I did that for Harry Potter, and I did that for Mark Twain. All right. Now, let's just talk for a minute then about what I have to do yet. Okay. Well, one of the things I'm going to have to do, and I'm hoping to get this done by tomorrow. All right. And that is to go back to that lecture that I went over with you yesterday, even though I had problems with the code first. All right. I have in here in my final project library, I actually have in here I've got 4 classes in here, but there's only 2 of these classes that are part of my database. The utilities class, remember, all that has in it is our exit program or not. The utilities class is not part of the database. The validator class, which has got our validation methods, is again not part of our database. All right. So it's just books and it's reviews. All right. So what I want to do and what I have to do is to fill up that book class. Well, again, if you look at this, right now, I've got the author name, the book name, and the published year. That's really the only thing that I've got available to me right now and what I have done. So I'm going to have to go back. And when I go in, and you're going to see this, all right, but when I go in and I come in and write information, I'm going to have 27 different ISBNs, 3 different author names, depending on who wrote that book, 27 different book names, and a bunch of different publish years. Because as you'll find, if you look in the ones that I chose, all right, and I kind of did this on purpose. I kind of did it because I knew I'd be able to find stuff from them. But again, Harry Potter books, all in the late 1990s up to, the 2000s. The Mark Twains, all in the 1800s. And the Dr. Seuss, 1954 to 1990. All right. Which gave us a pretty big, 35, 36 years worth of stuff in there. All right. So my responsibility for you tomorrow then is I'm going to go back in and I'm going to see if I can create these DB sets. All right. So I'm going to have to go back. And again, the reason that you have this project, period, is twofold. All right. First of all, when we did this class last year, when I taught it last, or last fall, I guess I taught it, we did this much differently. Basically, we created a project together as a class. I got the students to a certain point, and then I said, now you take it from there. It's kind of what we're doing in here. All right. And Evan, my counterpart teaching this, and I believe my counterpart teaching this in St. Louis, they're doing something, or they have done in the past, something similar to this. All right. I'm sure the next time I teach it, I'll have different requirements, etc. I don't know what those will be. All right. So going back to this, what we just did here was I went over my final project. I have shown you what I have done so far in my version of the project, and I've mentioned to you what I still have to do. Should be nothing new there. That should make sense to everybody. All right, again, both the final project and your portfolio are due by midnight a week from today. Now, to be honest with you, you probably could bang out a pretty decent portfolio in a few 1 to 3 hours, depending on what you're going to put into it. I would like it if one of those things that was put into your portfolio for this class would be this project. This is, again, the most extensive thing you've done thus far. And what potential employers want to see are copies of your work. They don't want to see simple little projects that you can create in 5 or 10 minutes. They want to see things with meat on their bones, so to speak. All right. Okay. And again, tomorrow, as it says, I'm going to continue going over the final project. The way I'm going to do that is first, I'm going to show you this link demo program. I will save this link demo program once I get it up and running as a GitHub repo. And then I will reproduce it for you, redo it tomorrow for you in front of you. All right, then we'll go over and we'll discuss, well, how does Link fit into this final project that we're working on? And we'll go over that. All right. And then if I make some progress on the final project, I'll share that with you. If I don't make any progress, on the final project by tomorrow, well, then as far as the project goes, there'll be nothing to show you. Then I will work on it this weekend. Now, it says here the plan is for all next week to be lab. So what are you doing, Jeff? No, I'm going to make it a lab. But if I get more done on it this weekend, I'll create a lecture that's an hour or two, and I'll put it on Camtasia, and I'll put it out there on my YouTube channel and make sure you get a link to it. All right. Hopefully everything I just said made at least some sense to you. So finally, as it says here, and I know I'm just reviewing, I'm not trying to pad this lecture. I want to make sure no one is confused as to what we're doing in these last 5 or 6 days. So last Sunday, I went in the morning and I went through everyone's work and I tried to see everything that they had done up until that point. Now, some of you have quite a few zeros because you've got work that's missing. All right. And there have been people in here who have had A's that they're down to a C or a D right now because they have that much missing work. And that's on you. That's not on me. All right. If you go through and you go, wait a minute, I've done this assignment and you didn't grade it. If that's the case, then that's a mistake on my part. So email me and let me know, what the assignment is and what repo it's on if necessary, because some of you have multiple repos. If you have any missing or late work that you know is missing or late, I'll accept it through midnight a week from tonight. Again, Thursday, I plan on just grading. I want to have all of my grading done on Thursday. And the reason that I'm making those things due Wednesday is in case for some reason I couldn't read it or there's something, very wrong with it, I can return it to you and say, hey, you got to get it in by this time, etc. All right. But if it's like Thursday morning and you've done nothing, now think about this. This final project is worth 200 points. So that's 2 test grades. All right. Your electronic portfolio was 150 points. So that's 1.5 tests. So you've got 350 points still outstanding on the semester. If you've got a C and you shine in these last 2 projects, that might bump you up to an A. If you've got an A and you fall mightily in these last 2 projects, that might get you down to a C. I don't know. All right. So once again, your final project and your electronic portfolio are both due by midnight a week from tonight. If you have questions, any kind of issue whatsoever, no matter what it is, please email me at jpscott@rankin.edu. All right, so you know what we'll be doing tomorrow. You know what the plan is for next week. All right, I don't know really anything more that I can say about this. All right, so I'll leave you with that. All right, have a good day. Hopefully you're working on this somewhat every day. And if you have questions, you will email me at jpscott@rankin.edu. With that, I'll say goodbye and I'll see you tomorrow morning. Have a good day. Thanks.